guidance and kind of help vet some of the projects we want to do going forward. So I'll let you know when we get that rolling, but that's the intent there. Trying to think of anything else. I can't think of anything else really. But
We didn't have a board meeting for Utopia UIA, but we did send out some subscriber information. Just things look good. Layton continues to increase month on month with the take rate, so we're over 10,000 total subscribers now. So it's looking good. I'll get some more information at the next board meeting, which is the first, I think it's the first week of December.
okay. Anyone else?
We're not having a community board meeting for CTC in December. Instead, we're going to have an end-of-year celebration, and that'll be on December 8th at 5:30 at DDH. You all should have been on the email inviting you to that. You can bring a spouse if you'd like to come. Just RSVP to Tiffany by December 1st, please.
I should have mentioned, with my hometown, they're actually doing a dinner, and we're invited, but it happens to be on the next council night. So.
Well, let's go.
So I don't know if we'll be able to do that one either, so anyway. Okay. Do you have anything to report?
You got a call, go ahead.
Ramp Commission met.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they were excited.
Yeah.
We are going to have a listening session for the mayor's request for the next meeting. So it's December 15th. I believe we'll be here in the council chambers for all who have opinions about ramp. As far as the whether we amend the ordinance, what we talked about moving forward.
Mhm.
So the first step is to have that listening session. So Kimberly's going to invite anybody who's ever,
Send in a
received,
request or.
or I mean, even those
change.
who haven't got them. I mean, anybody who's ever tried to get applied for a grant, she's inviting all of those everyone to come. So that's the first step. It's not going to be for this. I asked the question like, well, we better hurry because we already got grant applications in. I'm like, well, it's not for this grant year. It's going to be for the following. If we make any changes, we've talked about that. So.
So it will be the first year of the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So we'll finish up this year for the first 10 years as is, and then see what we need to do to
Yep.
change or modify, which as a governing body, we can.
Is that a July? What's the ramp year?
They start, fiscal year. Yeah.
Fiscal, okay.
Yep. And then the league, we had the LPC meeting, I think did we?
Yeah, we talked about that.
We've met between there.
Yeah, like, whoa, okay, yeah, deja vu. LPC meeting, the items we talked about were the water, we're all aware of that. That was actually, I sent a note, it was that fee study, the final fee study that we saw was delivered to the legislature during the interim meeting this week. And they're all just happy to get that, and I was thinking, what's going on here? It was presented that in the meeting that, or in the hearing, that how this is going to work is that the cities have to raise their rates as the first bucket before you move on to. So that's the first bucket. The cities raise their rates to the 4.5%, whatever the EPA says we should do. And then after that, there's the future water use fee that everybody in the state pays to fill this gap of $1.2 billion a year that the state needs for water infrastructure. So, I don't know where that's going to go, but the fee study's been delivered.
What happens if we don't do anything? We just tell them no thanks.
We'll find
Did
out.
they say anything about a follow-up after they delivered it to the legislature?
It was just their.
Just like we did what
Yeah,
we're
here you
supposed
go.
to do, here's
Yep,
the study.
Here's the study, yeah.
but no
So they're still,
implementation of
they're
it.
supposed to put a plan together into 2026, and then it's not implemented until sometime in 2027. So there's still time.
Yeah.
So they have a committee then, or special,
It was the Natural Resources Committee where it was.
that's gonna
Who's the chair?
go through the,
Stratton and Albrecht were the two. It was the entire, both Senate and the
Yeah.
House of Representatives. So, anyway, and there was talk about property tax. What's gonna happen with property tax? There's some ideas out there of
as in,
what cities and,
Limiting what cities
and
can do.
what they can do and what they can't do, and caps and.
but it doesn't apply to county or state. Or county, I should say.
Anyway, interesting times we're in. That's just more news. Don't have
Yeah.
answers.
So like I'm being
Yeah. it's-
Yeah, it's a
Oh.
puppet, definitely puppets.
told what to say.
And I wasn't there for the housing part,
Mm,
because they talked about housing right after that as another.
They did talk about housing, I took notes though, but Clint was there in person.
I was there.
Do you remember?
What did we do?
I need to talk about how they're gonna restructure the state level, the housing. CHA's going away and
Yeah, and there was some talk about, right now, cities have the first right of refusal if a public school
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Gets rid of theirs.
closes down. Cities have the first right of refusal to
Purchase
purchase
property.
that. They're looking at changing that.
That's what Sunset just went through and couldn't afford it. Yeah. Hmm.
that's all I had.
Okay,
Thanks.
that's good. All right, am I good to move on? Okay, I'm gonna move on then. Let's go ahead and go to item number 3 then, which is our general plan amendment. Water use and preservation elements. Brad's gonna present to us tonight.
All right, Mayor and Council, good to be with you again this evening. We talked about this a few weeks ago, so I will not belabor it too much. I'll just really talk about the recommendation from the Planning Commission and how that went. And so they heard it a few weeks ago. They had a recommendation to approve the water element with some changes. One of the concerns that they had was some of the examples that we included in the water element. They felt that that was, they didn't want some of those things included in there, such as the amount of area that could be used for turf grass. Didn't like referencing a percentage, giving any idea to that. Also, some of the examples on pool sizes and the amount of limitations that could be there. So I did some more research into state code, and these are some of the shalls that they needed to recommend on, and some of the things and why we included that information in the water element. And so it wasn't that, staff is trying to provide a specific direction, but also that we need to be mindful that in the water element that we are seriously considering some of those things that the state is kind of requiring us to do. So as you can see, some of those shalls is that we shall consider principles of sustainable landscaping, including the reduction or limitation on the use of lawn or turf, right? And so I think a lot of our new residences, a lot of our new developments are doing a really good job at this with our water efficient landscape ordinance. But like we talked about before, and some of the considerations that are included in the water element, there's some things that we could consider again in the future. But the Planning Commission was weary about it coming across as a mandate and being too specific on this is the direction that we need to do as a city, and tried to help them understand that these were just examples and that they weren't anything that we needed to go with. And so with that, wanted to kind of go over some of these things that were in state code that just said, what we need to consider, and really gives us the backing of why we included some of that information in there.
So the shalls are in the bottom, right?
The language does say shall and then consider, so I just, in state code, so, and then it does also say shall include. But yeah, so those are the two sections of state code that said shall do those
It's
two
like
things.
shall and consider don't typically go in the same
Right, yeah, it said
section.
shall consider, but it was like, it's shall, and then it had another bullet point underneath.
Okay.
So, yeah, either way, Zach, you could say, I probably screwed up one way or the other.
No,
way.
it's okay.
Shall, or, shall consider, but yeah.
So are you recommending,
From the staff level, we're recommending that we don't take out that language at all,
That's what-
because the state has encouraged us to include that type of language to give us at least some sort of direction to go towards. The planning commission felt, they were really, one commissioner was specifically uncomfortable saying that, like, well, if it's in the general plan, then that's exactly what we're gonna do. And we said that's not how the general plan functions. It's a
Guidance.
guiding document, and it might give us a starting point, but it doesn't mean that we have to adopt this. And even if we do, in the future, it'll still come back as a zoning text amendment, so we'll still review it at that time. So approving this does not say that we're approving those standards at all, so. Other than that, planning commission was very supportive of the considerations that are in the water element, and happy to answer any questions that you guys have before we present it in the meeting tonight.
So do you have anything you want to bring up now? No? You're so busy looking, so I'm a little hesitant to move on until I make sure you haven't made some notes on your packet. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on
Okay.
to number 4 then, which Steve Jackson is going to present on the sewer impact fee plan.
Thanks for letting me be here again tonight. Again, this item we discussed a couple weeks ago, the sewer impact fee facilities plan and sewer impact fee analysis. I won't go through the same presentation in here. We'll do the full presentation out there. However, I just wanted to make sure we all understand what the proposal is here, and that is that Layton City implement the sewer impact fee for the 4 projects that are listed in our impact fee facilities plan, roughly $1.8 million worth of projects that would be able to be funded out of that sewer impact fee. There is an impact fee that is collected by North Davis Sewer District for their lines and their facilities. They are substantially larger than ours, and so their fee is different, obviously, but again, this allows us to capture some of those impacts that growth and density are having on the city throughout the system. So again, there's some proposed schedules in the impact fee analysis that we would recommend that the council adopt. And then I guess the big one here is that with this adoption after the public comment, if the council chooses to go that route, we would ask that they propose an implementation of February 23rd, 2026. That's it's the first Monday after the 90 days from tonight. So are there any questions I can answer or try
I
and
just
help
had one
you?
on the implementation fee, so, or the implementation period, so that's people who have already got their stuff in the works, they're not affected.
Any new applications?
New
after that
applications
date?
post, okay. I assume that was the case, I just wanted to double check.
Yes, again, the single-family ERU would be the 386.81 to start, and then it would just incrementally increase over those 10 years.
When we do, when we have these types of impact fee increases, do we ever get feedback from the development community? Like, I know we do on some other things that we look at. Is this something that we have done that?
Occasionally we do. On this one, we haven't received anything, but I know a few years back on the water one, there was a pretty substantial change to impact fee laws, and so it changed quite a bit, and we did receive some feedback, but on this one, we haven't.
Anything else? You guys are quiet. You haven't got all the cookie in you yet. Okay, well, Steve, go ahead and go on to the
Okay.
Weaver Canal secondary water.
Yeah, so I'd like to recognize Rick Smith, he's general manager for Davis and Weber County's Canal Company, and then actually Mike is the ditch master that services the West Layton ditch, so both of them have extensive knowledge of this system and the conversations that we're having. So similar to what we've done in the past, in 2017, we adopted a master plan that recommended that we optimize pressurized secondary use throughout the city. And part of that was to consolidate the operations and maintenance of the pressurized secondary water systems in Layton. So in January of 2018, we actually entered into an operating agreement with Weber Basin Water to operate their system. Theirs is a little nuanced because the Bureau of Reclamation owns a lot of their lines, so we didn't actually take over the ownership of their system, but we do operate it. They pay us a percentage of the rates that come in for their usage, and then we operate the system from beginning to end and manage all of that for them. So 4 years later, January 2022, we entered into a transfer and shareholder agreement with Case Creek Irrigation. You all know about that one as well. Roughly 3,100 customers on that system that now we own, operate, and manage as well. So I guess now 4 years later, roughly, we're talking with Davis Weber County's Canal Company. And so you could see the different service areas. The blue is Weber Basin, the red was the former Case Creek area, and the areas we want to talk about tonight are roughly these yellow areas. They're a little bit different now than they were back in 2017, but pretty close. So, and then this purple area is our future expanded secondary area that we wanted to optimize this West Layton groove. So, again, we came up with a master plan, showed the improvements throughout the city in that area, in that portion, and then moving forward, we've had discussions with Davis and Weber County's Canal Company to convey or transfer their secondary pressurized system to Layton City. Approximately 1,350 connections with roughly 23 miles of pipes and appurtenances that go with that. Part of the agreement is that Davis Weber County's Canal Company retains their canal, the reservoirs, and any transmission lines not associated with the system in Layton. So there's a line that comes out of the reservoir that runs down Fairfield Road in Kaysville. That would not be part of this transfer agreement. We have a unique situation out in the West Layton area. We have what we're terming hybrid users. So there's some users on Gordon Avenue and then kind of that general area that use flood irrigation, but they come off of the pressurized system. Those are shareholders of Davis Weber Canal, and they will remain shareholders and customers of Davis Weber Canal until such time as they choose to convert to pressurized users, and most likely we anticipate that'll be with some kind of form of development into the future. Just south of Hillfield Road area, there's the West Layton ditch system. That will remain with Davis Weber Canal Company as well. So they will basically maintain and keep all of the flood systems going. Part of that is there is an agreement with Davis Weber and Layton City. We call it the bilateral contract back in 2002, and then it was amended a couple times later. That contract basically is the contract that they service these systems with Layton City, or in Layton City. That agreement will terminate with this transfer agreement. We have a trilateral contract with Davis Weber and Weber Basin. The proposal for that is to assign all of the Davis Weber rights, obligations, and liabilities to Layton City. And so that would basically become a bilateral agreement between Layton City and Weber Basin. And then as part of that, there's some purchase contracts with Weber Basin, approximately 13 of them that Davis Weber has, that would be assigned to the city that would service these various subdivisions throughout Layton. So a couple of maps to kind of tell you what we're talking about here. This is the South Layton system. This dashed gray line is the city boundary currently, and these blue lines would be the water system pipes in the secondary system that would transfer to Layton City. One of the agreements that we have is that we would disconnect these lines. These lines actually go into Kaysville. We're not showing those on the map, but these three red dots are locations where we would disconnect from that system, and then we would connect onto the system. We have a pipeline in Layton Parkway that we would make a couple connections with, and so we'd be able to service those off of the city's system that we currently have.
How big is that line?
The line we have in Layton,
No, the one in the Parkway.
it's 18-inch. It's an 18-inch line, so. And then the West Layton system is the portion that has the hybrid users on it. The canal connection point is all the way up near I-15 if you go 2200 west and just keep going north until you hit I-15. So Layton would take over ownership and maintenance of the line from that connection point at the canal and then all the way down 2200 west. These red,
All the way through to 2200?
yeah, all the way down to basically Ellison Park. That would become
Oh,
ours.
to Ellison.
Yeah, to Ellison Park is where the,
Well, not your road, not your.
Well, no, yeah, yeah, that's true.
not quite to your house,
Yeah,
Okay.
but almost to your house, yeah. And so these blue lines obviously represent the pressurized lines in the system. The pink colored squares are properties that we've identified. We're still finalizing those with Rick and his team to make sure we've got everybody who's identified as a hybrid user, but those are people who would remain, again, Davis Weber shareholders that would be able to receive water through the system. And then we would just continue until at some point they develop and they become pressurized users. The West Layton ditch, majority of the West Layton ditch is south of this line here. They're not shown on this map, but those would also remain there. So the feeds, there's a feed right here at the south end of that pipeline. Rick, can I ask, are there other connections to the West Layton ditch, or is that the main one that?
That's the main one. There
That's
was
the
one
main
on 3200 that really isn't used anymore.
Okay, yeah, so the main feed to the West Layton ditch would be through this system right here, so. So what does that mean for us? There's some city undertakings. We in the proposed agreement is that we would disconnect from that Kaysville secondary water system and connect into the Layton City system. We would agree to deliver water through this pressurized system to the hybrid users and to Davis Weber for their obligations to the West Layton ditch shareholders. There is no fee that we would charge for that. It would just be basically water that would pass through our system into theirs, and until such time as they become customers of Layton City. At some point in the future, we continue to pay the annual shareholder assessments to Davis Weber on the city shares that we hold. We would be metering all of these transferred connections, the 1,350 connections, and if you recall, the council already approved accepting the grant money we received from the state for 65% of the cost of that. So it's about $3.5 million, and the state has given us 65% of that to get that taken care of. That does have a deadline of next year, so we are planning to get that started here as soon as we can. Clint and our group is working with Rick's group to get an MOU established to be able to say, let's move forward with this, with the understanding that this agreement is going to be finalized here in the very near future. So we want to make sure we can get our contractor in here to get these meters installed before the deadline, so we don't lose that funding. And then obviously we would take over ownership, operations, and maintenance of that transferred system, and then bill for any of the customers on the pressurized system at that point.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I've heard of some folks when things have been shifting, that their water pressure has gone down. Is that something that's anticipated with this move, like for people who may be using the water from the DWCC as it moves over to our system?
I don't anticipate that. The reservoir that services the Kaysville system is roughly at the same elevations that our system is on the east side that we'll be connecting into. So we don't anticipate that there's going to be a loss of pressure there. In the West Layton system, that literally will be the exact same operations that we have now. We'll work with Rick and his group to make sure that we're making the proper adjustments on our side to make sure that the ditch users have their water and our pressurized users have their water, and just find that balance, so.
so those lines that currently come up from Kaysville, those just get capped off on both sides then? So that.
Yeah, so there's
We can
some.
maintain
That's the city
them.
boundary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the city boundary.
it will be capped.
Yeah, we'll
Right.
disconnect them there. There's some drains on their side. We'll probably have to put some drains in on our side, just to make sure it all operates, but we're working through all of that. But we don't anticipate that people will really notice any difference in the water system, and with the goal being that it starts before the new system is even, or before we even charge the
Charge it,
system.
yeah.
If we can make all those changes, then people really shouldn't notice anything other than Layton City is going to be sending them the bill and then operating the system, so.
And putting in, installing meters,
And then
'cause there's,
putting in the meters.
there's no meters, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then on Davis Weaver's side, basically, we've asked them to provide us all the documentation for the system, so contracts, operating procedures, system specs, things like that, just normal information that they have, and then they would assist us with whatever help we needed for the first year of the water season. We anticipate it'll be fairly minimal as we kind of have a decent idea of how their system works. We just don't operate it every day, so we just want to make sure we can get that help if we need it. They would assign all of the rights of way and easements that are related to this transfer system to the city, so we have the same rights to operate and maintain that, and then they would obviously service and have the shareholders that are the hybrid users and any other shareholders that just stay with them until such time as the development occurs, when they want to become a customer of Layton by meeting those requirements. Have I missed anything, Rick? Any big items? I think that kind of is a nutshell. We're close, I think, on the agreement. The legal teams are both kind of final reviews. We've got some kind of red lines we're going to send back to Rick and his team shortly, but I think it'll be a fairly, hopefully a fairly quick turnaround on that. But we just wanted to bring this forward and let you know that that's kind of the plan. This was in the master plan. And so any other questions I can answer? I believe that's my last slide there.
I have a question on the state funding. So I know that, you know, everybody has an opportunity to apply for that funding.
Yeah.
Are they trying to spread it so that it reaches more entities versus a channeled entity? And I only say that because, I mean, you know, they're an entity, we're an entity. Are they gonna look at it like,
Well-
Layton, you've already gotten some of the funding?
Are you talking about the new funding or the existing metering?
I'm talking for the metering.
So
Sorry.
all of that money has already been allocated, and Rick and the city, Davis Weaver and the city actually worked together to convince the state to actually give us some more money, because the
Okay,
first,
that's what I was
we
wondering.
actually used up all of what we could be allocated with the Case Creek system, and then Rick was already allocated all that he could get under the rules.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna s-
17.7 is what we've gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
well-
gonna say, I vaguely remember there
Yeah.
being some
And
limitations.
so then we went back to the state and we said, hey, we've got this unique situation where Davis Weaver is probably not gonna be able to meter the system because they've already got tons of other connections to do, and they've maxed out their funding, and we, if we took this on, could get more funding, and so they did. They gave us another $2.8 million or so.
Okay, so that's secured then, is what you meant?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it's secured, and it has to be spent and billed back to them by November of this next year, so that's why we want to move forward with the metering and sign the MOU.
April 15th.
Well,
When the water
yeah,
turns on.
The others, we didn't want to have to put in a whole bunch of meters that were going to be
Yeah.
potentially
Yeah.
obsolete when you have different systems.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
smart.
it makes a lot of sense. If we knew we were headed down this road, let's get these meters in, and if they're gonna be Layton City's meters, then let's make them the city standard that goes on our network. And then, I think it helps both of us out to say, yeah, the state gave additional funds to do this, and it was an area that probably wouldn't have got metered by either system with the grant money until, and then we would have just paid that extra 65% at some point. So.
Okay,
Good, that's awesome.
yeah. that's
But
good
we are,
teamwork.
like I say, we are on a deadline to get that funding spent, and our contractor's ready to roll as soon as we get that paperwork taken care of, so.
So what are you needing from us?
Well, nothing at this point. Clinton and his team are working on the documents for us. I think those are imminent. We're just, once we get the documents done, we're going to bring the full agreement back to you.
Okay.
And then a formal presentation of what's the full document. This was just high level to let you know what we've been working on. It is consistent with what our master plan says we should be doing, so that's where we're headed.
Okay, that's good. You guys have any questions?
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope we
Yeah, there's been a
Keep my
lot of work
fingers
to get to
crossed.
this point.
Yeah, yeah,
I
this
was
is-
you know,
gonna
there's-
say, I know how long
Behind
you've
the
been
scenes,
working.
there's a lot more going on.
Yeah.
And I know how long you've been working it too, Rick, so appreciate your patience and working with the city honestly on this. And Mike. Okay. That's it on our agenda items. But, we do have some, additional business we need to take care of by going into a closed doors meeting, so, I would entertain a motion to go into that meeting at this time. Take the time and welcome everyone out to our Layton City Council meeting this evening. The day is November 20th, and our start time is on time at 7 o'clock. I appreciate those in attendance, but as you know, we like to always start our meetings with a prayer and a pledge, and we take turns each month. So I'm going to turn the time over to Councilmember Thomas to conduct. To conduct.
Okay. I'll give the prayer, then we'll get up and have the pledge, if you please. Our Father in heaven, we're indeed grateful to be gathered tonight to talk about Layton City. We ask that thy Spirit might attend us, that as we do talk about Layton City, that we will be mindful of what we're saying, be kind in how we say it, but be truthful in what we're trying to say. We're thankful for this great land that allows us opportunity to do the things which we're doing tonight. We're thankful for the people that look into the things that go on within this city and voice their opinions, so that we might be able to make decisions with the best knowledge. This I say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. We appreciate that. I'd like to make a special acknowledgement that Councilman Roberts is not with us. He asked to be excused. However, I do notice our incoming council member on the front row there that will be taking the oath of office in January. So, Mike Clendrianis, welcome. Glad you're here with us tonight. Okay, Council, we do have one set of minutes that we need to approve. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look at them, see if you have any changes. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of Layton City Council work meeting, October 2nd, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll go down to our municipal announcements at this time. I know that Tyson usually reads off what the Parks and Rec Department has going on, and he really didn't assign anyone, so I'll just go ahead and mention them for him. First off, this Saturday is the Turkey Bowl, which is always a fun event to participate in. I know that the lanes are pretty well already called for. However, there's this breaking news that's just now hitting the news desk at this moment. So the Parks and Rec team gets to deal with 2 lanes that could become available at the 4 o'clock hour. So if you want to do a lottery draw or however you guys want to handle that, we'll be happy to turn those over. Initially, myself and the council, we usually challenge another city, and unfortunately the other city backed out on us, and then we had a second city and they backed out, and our third city backed out. So we're saying it's time to let the citizens have it this year, but we'll be back for a challenge next year on the Turkey Bowl. Then on Monday, we have our holiday lighting ceremony out here in the new pavilion, and the start time on that is 6 p.m. And so we'd encourage everyone to come out and show your support. We have Crestview Elementary School that will be participating, as well as the Layton Community Band. And this year we're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to have a dual lighting ceremony. So we'll have one for the nativity scene and then one for the park lights. So again, I encourage everyone to come out at that at 6 p.m. If you haven't already and would like to participate in the Nutcracker display, Our Layton Museum here this year is going to have a nutcracker display. And from what I understand, they've got a lot of them already. Is that correct, Marie? And yet they would still take a few more if anybody would like to bring in their favorite nutcracker that they own or might have a small collection that they want to be on display. We'd love to do that so that all of our residents can kind of see the variety of the showcase that they'll be putting together. And that exhibit will run from the 27th of November through December 23rd. And of course, as we've announced in the past, with America 250, our celebration, our Layton Museum was the first one recipient of the traveling display for the state that is currently on the wall at the museum for you to come see, and it's called The Pen is Mightier, the Writing of the Revolution. So it's a great educational tool, and keep in mind this is just a small portion of the actual display that is on display in Salt Lake, but this is part of the traveling one, and like I said, Layton was the first museum to receive that, so that's kind of cool. Other than that, I'll turn the time over to anybody else that would, if they have any other announcements they'd like to make. None? Okay, well then I hope everyone will enjoy the lights and get out of your car and walk around and really embrace it. There will be hot chocolate and churros again that will be distributed through the Layton Rotary, and the train will be running as well. The train will be primarily Tuesday through Sunday. Excuse me, Tuesday through Saturday. And the Layton City will have their free family hay rides on December 3rd, so it will not be running that night. And if you want to come and enjoy the hay rides, then again, it's here at the Commons Park. And is the staging, where are you going to have your staging? For your hay rides. Same place as the train. Okay, great. That makes it easy. So the hay rides are going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. on December 3rd. One thing I want to make sure that everyone realizes this year, we have changed the staging area for the train. It is going to be in the east parking lot by the seminary. So that will be the staging area, as well as the cocoa will be sold there, so that on those cold nights, if you want to kind of go into the pavilion, it might take the chill off. So, all right, that's enough rattling on. I'll go ahead and get going with our regular scheduled meeting here this evening. And we actually have a fairly light agenda, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump into our citizens' comment at this time. So anyone who's here that would like to address this governing body, you're more than welcome to. You can step up to the podium on either side. Please state your name, what city you're from, and then your purpose.
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. It's my second time coming. John Atkin from West Point. I just wanted to come up and introduce myself to everyone. I am running for Davis County Sheriff this coming year. Just wanted to share about 3 minutes, a little bit about myself. I work at the Sheriff's Office currently. I've been doing internal affairs for the office the past 3 years. Came from military background as well. I am a veteran. Spent 14 years so far in the military, still in the Reserve Service, 9 of which with the police, military police on the Army and Air Force side, and currently an intelligence officer with the Air Force. Do work part-time as a firefighter paramedic. Have done that for the past 3 years, North Davis Fire. Love Davis County, spent most of my life here. I've gone overseas, lived over there, lived out of the state, but I do love living here. I believe in good, efficient government. I believe in accountability, and I believe in working with other individuals like yourselves so we can serve the people the best we can. I do have a few cards. If anyone's interested, I'll leave them at the door on the way out. But thank you for your time this evening.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else?
I'm Megan Smock. I live in Syracuse, but I am a pet sitter and dog walker that covers Layton, so I am well aware of all the dog owners and the dogs and the yards and the houses. I'm just here about the dog park. We are excited that there is a potential location being looked into. We're really hopeful about that because Layton needs a dog park. There's way too many homeowners, dog owners without yards, without a place to take their dogs to run, to play, to socialize, to build community. And we just really want that to be an option for Layton citizens. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tammy Ellis, and I'm also here about the dog park. I have a border collie. I cannot exercise him anywhere because walking a border collie isn't realistic. I need a dog park. We all need a dog park. And I think it's a little strange that we don't have one already, honestly, because it seems like every other city I know has one. I have to drive to South Weber if I want to go take my dog to the dog park. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else at this time? Okay. Being that there's none, I'm going to go ahead and go on to our consent items. Mr. Dave Price is going to present this one item that we have as our consent item this evening regarding the reenactment of our Recreation Arts Museum and Parks sales tax.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. This evening I have the pleasure of introducing Ordinance 2525. If adopted, this ordinance will enact a Recreation Arts Museum and Parks, or RAMP, sales tax of 1/10 of 1% on appropriate taxable sales within Layton City, beginning April 1st, 2026. In 2015, Layton City voters approved a local sales tax, sales and use tax, to support RAMP initiative. For the last 10 years, this RAMP tax has provided support for recreation, arts museum, and parks within Layton City. On November 4th of 2025, the voters of Layton City authorized the City Council to impose a RAMP tax by an overwhelming margin of 75%. The City Council may adopt Ordinance 2525 to enact the RAMP tax and send notice to the Utah State Tax Commission, informing them of the vote of the people and the passage of this ordinance enacting the RAMP tax. This ordinance will impose the sales tax of 1/10 of 1% on all appropriate taxable sales beginning the 1st of April and run for 10 years, with the potential to be renewed by voters in the city in 2035. The staff recommends the council adopt Ordinance 2525, reenacting the RAMP sales tax and on appropriate taxable sales within Layton, and authorize the mayor to sign the necessary documents. This evening, if I could, I'd like to also recognize a few people that have helped us in this effort. The first would be our mayor, Joy Petrol, for her work with the committee. I'd also like to recognize our wonderful staff, including Kimberly and Joellen, who worked tirelessly on this. But most importantly, this evening, I'd like to recognize the community-minded, hardworking group of residents who together created a political information committee to advocate for the successful election of this tax. This group of residents, incorporated with the state of Utah, successfully raised funds for the campaign, created a Yes for Layton RAMP website, produced campaign signs, and campaigned in person, all to educate the Layton residents about what RAMP is. I would also like to recognize and thank Daniela Harding and Bruce Finch for their work leading the Political Information Committee as co-chairs. If you guys could join us up here, or join me. And also thank Brandon Stauffer and Jake Boyle, who's not here this evening, for serving on the steering committee, and who quite simply got the work done. If we could, would like to have all the members of the Political Information Committee stand up that are here this evening so that we can recognize them for their hard work and thank them for the successful passing of the RAMP tax. And then if it's appropriate, Mayor, would like to give Daniela a chance to talk a little about the campaign that she and her friends went through.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Mayor, Council. First and foremost, thank you to the incredible people who made this effort possible. To all the members of the Layton Ramp Pit Committee, we did it. My heartfelt thanks for your dedication, your hours of work, your belief, and efforts in getting this renewed was inspiring. Our entire Layton Ramp Pit Committee would like to give a very special thank you to Layton Mayor Joy Petro. Mayor Petro was absolutely tenacious in getting us the resources we needed. She was generous with her time, unwavering in her support, and constantly motivating us to keep this effort moving forward. Mayor Petro, we are deeply grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to my co-chair, Bruce Finch. Bruce, your leadership, your consistency, and your commitment kept us on track, and we could not have done this without you. And to the members of our steering committee, Brandon Stouffer of OPA over there, and Jake Boyle, who's not here tonight, thank you for your willingness to step in wherever you were needed. Finally, a massive thank you goes out to Layton Parks and Rec, especially to Dave Bryce and Kimberly Zagamat over there. Truly, we could not have done this without your help. You were the bridge between our committee and the citizens of Layton. Your expertise, your coordination, and your belief in RAMP powered so much of this effort. And to the entire RAMP Commission and Chair Cameron Cross, we thank you for your leadership and for stewarding this program with such care. Your work laid the foundation that allowed this renewal effort to succeed. Now, let me say one last thing. I think some of the residents may be wondering who we are, and the answer is very simple. We are just a group of citizens who simply believe in Layton. We believe in our recreation and our arts, our museums, and our parks. We believe in strong public spaces and opportunities for our Layton families, and in making Layton the best place to live, work, and play. So we want to thank the voters of Layton for voting to renew RAMP for another 10 years. Your support means that residents will have continued access to quality programming, and they will continue to thrive. Just today, someone stopped me to tell me how much they loved RAMP, and specifically they loved the free concerts on Sunday nights. And this is what this is all about. It's Layton residents enjoying our community. And so we are so proud to have been part of something that will continue to enhance and beautify our community. We're so grateful that this has been renewed and cannot wait to see the good it brings over the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to speak to the support of the citizens, 75%. That's just overwhelming support, and thank you to the citizens and to this body here and the RAMP Commission. It has been 10 years that this has been going on, and because of your quality stewardship of the monies, that it remains very popular. And I hope we do that going forward, that we're mindful of this is the citizens' money and we're going to do what's right for our citizens. And thank you for having done that in the past, and hopefully we can go forward and do that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor and Council. Do you have any questions about the ordinance this evening?
Council, do you have any questions, or if you'd like to make any comments, because I know it's an opportunity to actually thank the folks as well. So
Yeah, I'll start out, Mayor,
before
if you
we
don't mind.
take any action.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to Danielle and Bruce for chairing this, and Brandon as well. I just the fact that we can get 75% of people to believe or agree on anything is pretty amazing, right? If you put some just rudimentary questions on the ballot, I don't know if you'd get 75% of people believing on one side or the other. So I just thank you for your time and efforts and energies. We do treat these funds, to your point, Bruce, we have stewardship over them, and we want to make sure that people can see what they're getting for their money. Because when we have a representative government here where we get elected, for 4-year terms, and we come up here and make a lot of decisions, then we come back and we get reapproved or we don't, right? But when we put a ballot initiative or we put some question on the ballot, how do you want to do it, citizens? It's really like true democracy, right? And so the ability to say, well, all 5 of us, including the mayor, all 6 of us would love to have RAMP continue, but it's an additional affirmation to know that the residents at such large percentages are wanting to do the same thing. So we do take this money seriously, and I think it's just such a great program where it's not just the residents who pay it when they go to Target, it's people from other cities who come in and use our hotels and use our shops that they can help fund some projects for here in the city. So thank you again. I'm glad that you guys were here, that we could tell you that face to face for all the work that you did. So thank you.
Very good. Anyone else?
20 years ago, I think, I'm not young enough to remember a lot of things. We decided to do RAMP. I think we called it something else. I can't remember. Anyway, it's one of the few times in my life that I was glad I failed. It got voted down. No one wanted it. It was going to be countywide, blah, 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 blah. And we put a lot of time and effort, probably not as much as you guys did, but we put a lot of time and effort in it. And they voted against it. And I was pretty upset. And then I don't know how much longer, I don't think it was 10 years, but maybe 8 years later, we put it in as a city initiative, and it passed. And at that time, I realized I was glad we failed before, because then we'd have to share all our money with the county. Now we're sharing all the money with Layton City. And the things that RAMP has done is just phenomenal. I mean, things have grown, things have happened that wouldn't have happened without it. And I see in the next 10 years, it's just going to get better, and I know they're having a
Listening session.
A listening session. When's that?
I'll let Clinton talk to that.
December 15th.
December 15th. And that's for anybody that wants to come and talk about RAMP. People that have received money, people that didn't receive money, that applied, whatever. And so that maybe they can critique it. And like a good friend of mine, Mr. Disney, not Mr. Disney, but I call him Mr. Disney. He calls it plussing. You don't change things, you just make them better. And I think that's what this thing will do, will make it better. So, good job. I'm glad it's still going.
I just want to thank the, the committee, and those of you who are present, and of course the citizens who voted for it. There were so many questions when you hear a tax. That's a big, ugly word that none of us like, right? But there was so much collaboration and so much effort on behalf of residents to help their other fellow residents understand what it really was and what it meant. And so I just want to give kudos to all of you who are here because you were volunteering your time. And I don't know if the residents who you were talking to knew that. I mean, they knew you were, helping because either you were a citizen, a resident, or you participated in some way. But all of the hours that you guys put in was phenomenal as well. So I want to thank you for putting in that time and that effort to make something or to bring this back to our city and help residents understand the benefit. I mean, $17 million, that's a lot. And people didn't really understand that if we don't have this tax, then either services and programs are cut or that money goes from somewhere. And so thank you for the time that you all put in to help Layton continue to provide the services that we provide for all of us.
Yes.
Thanks, Mayor. I want to add my congratulations and thanks to the PIC committee, Danielle and Bruce and Brandon, and your hard work. You're getting us all excited about getting this reauthorized and getting the word out, the signs and all of that. I like to say that cities exist. Probably heard this 1,000 times. Two main reasons. One is to deliver essential services. Think EMS and your water and police and sewer, all the things you don't even think about that happen on a daily basis. And that happens with the good employees of Layton City on our behalf. And the second reason is to create a place, a hometown, a place you want to be from, a place you want to come home to, a place you want to recreate, a place you want to play, a place you want to tell people to come and enjoy. That's what this helps to enhance in Layton City. And the citizens of Layton understand that. 75%, I guess the question was asked in the RAMP Commission meeting this last Monday about the percentage back in 2015, and Mr. Price mentioned it was in the high 60s, I think.
68, was it? 65.
So 65%, now 75% with 10 years more voters. And so overwhelming support for this. This also doesn't happen without the work of the commissioners on the RAMP Commission. Where this is in other places, other municipalities or counties, sometimes they don't have commissions to do this, to vet the grants. It's just the city council or the county commission that decides what to do with it. But I like the way we do it. We have citizens here helping to vet, helping to, with the applications, balance all the interests, and it's served us well. That's a great help to us as the city council. And so, a couple more things. Dave mentioned we're going to have a listening session as we move forward. Things change over 10 years. The ordinance that was created 10 years ago to authorize this, we're going to relook at it. Should we tweak it? Should we add? We don't know. But we want to listen to all of you, and as we discuss that moving forward, whether we change or how we change or the ordinance. So on December 15th, which would be the next regularly scheduled RAMP meeting from 5 to 7 o'clock, and I believe it's going to be here in the council chambers. Correct? Yeah. Kimberly says yes. We'll be able to hear from you, from the public, on your feelings about that. So if you're interested, please be here for that. And then finally, back to the commission. We have some spots available on the RAMP Commission if any and all want to come and talk with Mayor Petro. I believe if you go on the website under Parks and Rec, there's the application process for both Parks and Rec and the RAMP Commission. So if you're interested, you can go there and get more information. They would love to have you come serve with them. I'll say it's some work, but it's worth it. And you can see how appreciative the citizens of Layton are by overwhelming support of RAMP. So that work that you do is worth it. So once again, thanks for all your efforts, and thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And that is quite a process to go through for the commission. But I'm not one to repeat, so I'm not going to repeat, but I certainly embrace everything that's been said up here tonight, and I do sincerely want to extend my appreciation to the entire RAMP Commission, or PIC committee as well. And I'll just make one comment. I was fortunate enough to be involved with the first time we ran this, and how hard it was. And we started out with a pretty large group, and in the end, we ended up with maybe 5 total, 3 to 5 people is all in the end by the time we got to the election process and the day of the election. My hat's off to this committee. Pretty much everybody stayed involved, and they ran this, and they worked their heinies off, and they put in tons of hours. So I want to acknowledge that and say thank you again, because it did take a full team effort to pull this off and to get that type of a win. So I will just close by saying thank you for a wonderful birthday gift, because that's exactly what I wanted, was ramp to pass. And you guys delivered, so thank you very much. Okay, with that, Council, I'll go ahead and bring it back then for action regarding Ordinance 25-25 regarding the ramp sales tax. Yeah, you need to do this.
Thanks, Mayor. Madam Mayor, I move that we approve Ordinance 2525, the reenacting of Recreation, Arts, Museum, and Parks ramp sales tax on 0.1% of taxable sales within Layton City.
Okay, it's been moved in second that we adopt the ordinance. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. That's a unanimous vote that I am glad to hear. Just for point of clarification, and then I'll move on. We are, as mentioned earlier, we're open to the ideas, suggestions, and enhancements. However, I want you to know that that will not go into effect on this cycle right now, that currently they're accepting applications. But it will start with the next cycle, which would be in 2026, which is the new cycle of the 10-year process. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Okay, let's go ahead and move on then to our public hearing portion of our meeting. Mr. Steve Jackson is going to present our first item here, which is an adoption of the sewer impact facility plan.
Mayor, Council, it's good to be with you tonight. For your consideration is Ordinance 2552, which is the adoption of the Sewer Impact Fee Facilities Plan and Sewer Impact Fee Analysis. The purpose of the Sewer Impact Fee Facilities Plan and Sewer Impact Fee Analysis is that as the city has created the wastewater master plan, it was updated in June of 2024. We worked with Bowen and Collins and Associates to map out the future infrastructure needs of the city and identify areas of improvement that need to be taken care of, but also recommend any areas where future growth would need to be addressed. Part of that recommendation from the wastewater master plan was to evaluate potential sewer impact fees to assist in funding improvements related to growth. As you know, we have impact fees for our water system and our transportation system and our storm drain system, but we have not had a impact fee for our sewer system because most of the projects and most of the funding or most of the infrastructure has been built by development as a very minimal size pipe. North Davis Sewer District is one of our partners that we send our wastewater to. They do have impact fees that they use to build the larger transmission lines and conveyance systems that they have. What we're seeing is throughout the city as growth and densities are increasing that there are some impacts that need to be addressed in the future. Our existing system is 218 miles of pipe, anywhere from 8 to 18 inches in diameter. As you can see, this is a slide that shows the existing growth, the existing baseline density that we have based on our current land uses. And as Bowen and Collins evaluates that and then projects the growth into the future, this chart shows that currently we have what are, we call them ERUs, or equivalent residential units, which is the calculation of the wastewater production from each one of the homes and businesses in the community. So we're roughly 32,000 ERUs currently, projected to be almost 60,500 ERUs in 2060. So we will see a growth of wastewater usage over that term, and so we need to plan for that. So this slide is for the future build-out density that is anticipated through the models, and so we want to be able to address that effectively and efficiently, provide the level of service that we all expect and that we've established here for Layton City. So as part of that wastewater master plan, they identified different projects. They're shown in the kind of purplish pink color on the map. And with that, the costs of those over the timeline of this master plan is roughly $18 million. The first 10-year window is a little bit smaller projects. There's only 4 of them in there, totaling an estimated $5.16 million as we look into the future. So what we did was we went through this sewer impact fee facilities plan, and in there, Bowen & Collins and Associates helps to identify sewer improvements needed to or sewer improvements needed to accommodate anticipated development. We all know development's coming. We just want to be able to plan appropriately for that, and so existing deficiencies are not included in this plan. They have to be addressed through the regular user fees that are charged to the people on the system, but growth related. This plan complies with Utah Code for the Impact Fee Act based on these growth projections in the wastewater master plan over the next 10 years. So it doesn't include those operation and maintenance projects, and then it maintains our level of service, which is the flow ratio of 0.75 for the pipeline capacities. So as you can see on this slide, we anticipate a growth of about 10,700 ERUs as we move forward. The existing capacity of our system, the collection system, is about 60.65% that has been used. We anticipate 16.5% of that will be used up over the next 10 years, and then 22.77 is what's remaining as that capacity. So as we look at that with our impact fee facilities plan, we basically say which projects need to be done in order to accommodate that growth. 4 projects were identified. As you can see in the chart on the bottom there, $5.74 million is the cost, with $1.88 million being impact fee eligible. Some of the projects there you can see, like Project 4, it says that 98% of that needs to be paid for by the existing users. But then Project 5 there says that 3.92 needs to be paid for by the existing users, and the rest could be covered in the growth over that time. So that's how they calculate that out to come up with the $1.88 million that is eligible for impact fee collection. This slide highlights the 4 projects on the list. Basically Gordon Avenue, up on East Gentile, and then Sugar Street are the 3 areas, with 4 separate projects that would be eligible for these fees to be used. Just to make sure that we're clear, there is a separate impact fee. North Davis Sewer District charges for any of the systems that are connecting to them, and you can see those fees there. Again, they break them into single-family residential, townhome, multi-unit, and transit-oriented development types, and then non-residentials per 1,000 gallons cost. So the second component to this study, or I guess it's the third component, the wastewater master plan, and then the impact fee facilities plan, is the impact fee analysis, and that was prepared under the direction of the city with Bowen & Collins and Zion Public Finance to help with this. So again, it calculates what the fee should be for the how do we actually come up with the fee that we need to charge to be able to proportionately share the growth costs with the system. Again, it complies with the Impact Fee Act, and it's based on this impact fee facilities plan. The fees are based on an ERU basis, so each unit would be calculated to be an ERU and then calculated out on that. Again, the fees have to be spent or encumbered within 6 years after the fee is paid per the state laws, and then they can be implemented 90 days following adoption by the City Council. So the gross fee per ERU is $429.96. Again, based on that 10,724 ERUs by 2034. Below you can see the breakdown of how that fee is calculated. People who are buying into the existing capacity that's in the system would pay the $247.53, and then the new construction costs are $175.40, and then we can also allow for the consultant costs to prepare these plans in there, so that's a $7.03 charge for that total of $429.96. So then also on that, we need to take into account that there is some existing capacities that we need to address as by the existing users, and so we've credited back on those fees $2.39 million over 10 years. So You can see on the right side of the screen the fee schedule that we are recommending starts out at $386.81 for that first year, and then gradually increases over time to reach the $425.19. So what does that mean as you're looking at it from a single-family home perspective? This first column there, single family, is 1 ERU. That's the basis for everything, so that chart is the same as the max fees per year on this side. Townhomes use a little bit less than a single-family home, and so they're 0.9 of that. Multifamily is 0.76, and then the TOD residential is 0.61. So we're recommending the adoption of these fee schedules so that we can apply those appropriately as each different development type comes throughout the city. And then for any non-residentials, it's based on the meter size, the water meter size. There's a meter ratio there. So for example, a 5/8 inch meter would be 1 ERU essentially, and so that's how that comes out to the 386.81. 2-inch meter would be 8 as the meter ratio goes, and so on. So with that, staff is recommending that council and open the discussion to public comment, take public comment, and then I'm happy to answer any questions before that happens, and then we'll bring it back for discussion, I guess. So,
okay.
If you'd like.
Do you have any questions before we open it up?
I have a question.
Sure.
It's okay. Maybe a comment first, then a question. This, you said 218 miles of pipe under the ground?
Yes.
And we don't even see it. And it takes care of I was just talking about essential services. This is one of the most essential.
Yeah, nobody likes it when this one doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. You just assume it's always going to work. What I appreciate here, two things. One is that the growth is you're paying for the growth where it's happening. I like that. And then second, the idea of looking into the future and planning. Just kudos to the team, to you and your team. Forward thinking as we move. It's just it goes. I think it goes unsaid, but thank you. And my question, you mentioned I know impact fees. It's stated in there they have to be paid within 6 years or encumbered. How long is that encumbrance time frame before you?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. We don't keep them that long. We don't
okay.
make it
So you
to
don't,
6 years because we need the money to fund these projects, and so.
I was just curious.
Yeah, it needs to be a reasonable time frame. I think if we were to ask Mr. Drake there, he would tell us that we need to spend them and get them moving. So.
Yeah, I think it's basically within the next fiscal year, like you encumber it for that year or the coming year, and that's it.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, maybe just one. So, I mean, when we adopt our fee schedule as part of our budget, that will just be one of the line items on here moving forward. I guess I'm talking about the last slide that had all of the list of costs throughout time, and I'm assuming that we would have the ability, if circumstances dictated, to raise those or to manage those, not just based on a schedule.
Yes, you would be able to review those. What this schedule would say is this is the maximum you can charge for that given year.
Okay, so if there was something that was like something in the industry caused you not to be able to get something, right? But this is the maximum of what we could charge.
Based on
in the future.
Based on this plan, we would have to revise not only the impact fee facilities plan, but the impact fee analysis in order to increase them any more than what's on these schedules.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
But you can do that. It's just that process.
Thanks, Steve. I just want to kind of piggyback on the question I asked in the work meeting, and just probably for the benefit of the public and those watching and whoever doesn't understand the impact fees, because we talk about fees and taxes and things of that nature. And so when we are presenting this and we see all of these numbers and all of these fees, can you just give a quick explanation about the impact fees and who those fees are charged to, who pays them, where they come from?
Yeah, so the impact fees are only allowed to be charged for growth-related projects, and that's what this entire analysis is to say what is the impact of a new growth development coming in. So the fees are charged to any new development that occurs. So every new building permit for a home would be charged this fee. For a single family, a townhome would obviously be charged the townhome fee, things like that. So any new development that comes in, it doesn't go back on anybody existing in the city. It's just for new development, for new growth. And then those fees specifically have to be used on those 4 projects right now. Our lists for other impact fees are a lot longer, but for this one, only those 4 projects can the fees be spent on, and only in those percentages. So we cannot use them for anything we want. They have to be specific to those projects. So thank you.
Okay. There's no other comments or questions, then I'd look for action to open up our public hearing at this time.
Madam Mayor, I move that we open the public hearing.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone who wishes to comment on this particular item, please come up to the podium, state your name and what city you're from, and then your comments. You can ask a question for this item here, yes.
Hi, my name is Irene Hill, and I just had a question for the gentleman that was talking. What exactly are the 4 places that this is going to affect? You said the new developments, right? So where are those at? Do you know? Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So the 4 project areas is Gordon Avenue is where the project, it's West Gordon over by Hillfield Road. And then there's one at East Gentile, which is up near Highway 89, and then Sugar Street between Hillfield Road and Gentile are the 4 projects that are eligible for these fees.
So it'll only impact, so from my understanding, it'll only impact the residents in that area, that the new developments, right?
So it'll impact developments across the city. Every new development will pay these impact fees to help fund these 4 growth-related projects. Yeah.
But it's new development, not existing.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's where I was making sure.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. Seeing that there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and bring it back to the council to close our public hearing and take action.
If I could, real quick, Mayor, we would recommend that the council adopt Resolution 2552 and with an implementation date of February 23rd, 2026 on the fees to meet the 90-day requirement.
Okay.
Thank you.
So one of you guys going to make a motion here?
Sure, I'll do it. Madam Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing and adopt Resolution 25-52 with an implementation date of February 23rd, 2026.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, it's been moved in second that we adopt Resolution 25-52. I need to take a roll call vote on this. So, Councilmember Thomas.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith Edmondson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
And Councilmember Bloxham.
Yes.
Okay, there you have it. That's unanimous on that particular item. Okay. We'll now move on to item number B of our public hearing, which is a general plan amendment and McIntyre. Excuse me, Brad. I remembered your last, McEnrath. I remembered your last one. We'll be presenting this item.
Not a problem, Mayor. Thank you. Happy to present this item to the Mayor and Council tonight. As stated previously, the water use and preservation element, it's a requirement of Utah State Code, which
The code recently changed within the last month. It's now 10-20-404. It was previously 10-9A-403. All the language is still there. It's just reorganized in different spots. This was something that was required by the Utah State Legislature a few years ago and incorporated it into state code in that section. And each city has to adopt a water use and preservation element by December 31st of this year. There are specific objectives that are outlined in state code that we need to address, and then we also need to coordinate with the Department of Natural Resources, Public Works, whoever our water purveyor is, which for us, luckily, it's our Public Works staff, as well as Weber Basin. This is just an overview of the objectives. Just to summarize these, what it really hits at is the impacts of existing development on our water infrastructure and water demand, as well as the impacts of future development on our water resources, and identifying methods that we can be more water efficient in our use, and also identifying opportunities that the city can modify our practices or operations to reduce or eliminate wasteful water practices. And then the last one is to consider the impact of the city's water use on the Great Salt Lake. As one of the cities that is within the Great Salt Lake watershed, we are identified as one of those that has to do that. Some cities don't need to because they're not in the watershed, but we have the opportunity to do that. Some of the language here I've included. I won't go through it in detail, but this is just some of the language that's in state code of things that we need to address through this water element. Wanted to bring this up, as I mentioned in the work session, based upon some of the recommendations and the conversation that we had with the Planning Commission when they recommended the approval of this, was to make sure that some of the language and the details that we have in here are really hitting at these different things. Bullet point number 4 on that first one is the elimination or regulation of ponds, pools, and other features that promote unnecessary water evaporation. So a lot of detail in the plan does talk about some examples that are out there of use of pools and size of pools and addressing evaporation. And we have that detail there as we've discussed before. This is just an overview of the different sections of the element. We talk about the existing efforts that the city has made. We've made a lot of really good strides in water conservation, so we wanted to highlight that in this element, as well as our community and water profile. A lot of the information and the data that we gathered from Public Works and understanding where our water comes from, where our resources, the different you've got Weber Basin, our city water infrastructure, our wells. Where is it all coming from, and where is it all being sent? And then water use considerations. I'll go through those just briefly, and then also water quality considerations. That's really related to stormwater and how when we have stormwater and how it gets to Great Salt Lake, as well as our rivers and streams. And then city operations. That one I'll be really brief. Just overview on that is that our city operations, and when we did an analysis of it, we are doing a really good job. Again, just as our public works staff got a lot of kudos for the work that they did on our wastewater system, the work that they're doing in making sure that our water infrastructure is being efficient, that we're reducing the amount of loss that we have within our system and upgrading it. It's just continual efforts for continual improvement. And so they're doing a lot of great work there. And then finally, the considerations of Great Salt Lake. So these are just some water use considerations that are included in the plan. First one is to continue to promote diversity of housing options and new development. As that happens, you can see that we were able to gather through the research in creating these considerations is that where there are diversity of housing options, you see greater water efficiency. Doesn't mean that there's not greater use in some and others, but there's greater water efficiency overall. And then water-intensive amenities in new residential development. If you're familiar with this is out in Syracuse. What's really funny is if you were to take an opposite image of this, you'd see these artificial ski lakes and then a lake that's drying up. And so you can see there's a lot of water-intensive amenities. This is one of them, but some amenities in new residential development include water features, different things like that maybe aren't necessary for our specific climate. Turf grass restrictions and water-wise landscaping in all single-family development. This just kind of outlines that and the opportunity to reconsider that in the future. water-wise landscaping for existing development. A lot of this really hits at providing education materials to our existing homeowners and property owners, as well as continuing to analyze our process and how we treat commercial properties and when they need to convert and change over to water-wise landscaping versus sticking with a plan that has been fairly water-intensive for many years. Pool cover requirements, as well as the size of pools. A lot of research went into this. Great research by one of our planners, Jeff Montague. A lot of credit goes to him in looking at this. And then the graph there, you could see it shows the number of pool permits that we've issued as a city between 2024 and 2025. At least 2025 was to about September. But you can see that in our RS zone properties, that's where the majority of those permits have been issued. And really, those are usually on larger lots. So you've got a large lot that's already using a lot of water to landscape their land, their property, as well as a pool that's taking up a lot of water as well. One consideration is that as we move to the future and we encourage new development and with our East Gate as well as the West Layton Business Center, that the uses that come in, that we make sure that we look at things like data centers or other water-intensive uses and make sure that we might have regulations to regulate that. There are water-efficient data centers out there, but the bulk of them use a lot of water, and a lot of the water loss happens with evaporation because of how hot the servers are and things like that, and loss through the pipes. Water quality considerations, really just parking lot pollution abatement, just the way that we can identify, we can simply just modify our ordinance to change some of the landscaping standards around our parking lots to, as the water drains out of them, that we can use the landscaping to help filter out the water and make it more clean. Water quality and our riparian corridors. We've got a handful of streams in our city that converge and come together. As they make their way through the city, but identifying ways that we can make sure that when there's development next to those rivers and streams, that it's being done so, and that there's some buffers that are provided so that way any pollution doesn't make its way there. This one, I'll just skip over this quickly, but again, our city staff is doing a great job at improving our operations. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the water element.
Council, questions?
Just an odd one.
Yeah.
It said, in order to have turf, it has to be larger than 8 feet wide?
Yes.
And it would seem that you'd have it the other way.
Yeah, and so that's a great question. So some research that's been done by Weaver Basin and some others is that they've identified that any areas that have turf grass in them that are less than 8 feet are water inefficient. So when we have park strips, for example, that are only 4.5 feet wide, you can go to the plumbing store or a sprinkler store and get a sprinkler head that says it's only going to shoot 3 feet, but it still usually shoots greater than that. And so there's water that gets overshot.
What do you consider turf?
Oh, so turf, what we're saying is turf grass, like real grown grass, not artificial turf.
Oh, not artificial.
Yep.
Okay.
No, and that's a great...
That makes difference, because to me, turf is artificial.
No, that's a great clarifying question, because in the in-state statute as well as in our water, this element, we talk about turf grass, but even at the Planning Commission meeting, there was one member in the public that was confused and understood turf as artificial turf and not turf grass.
But now, okay, artificial turf. If I can put that on 1 foot strips, there must be some percentage of the area or something.
Yeah, so, with...
You can't do your whole yard.
Right, yeah, you can't do your whole yard that way. Our water efficient, our water efficient landscape ordinance still requires that you have plantings.
Right.
And so if you were to do artificial turf, it would be similar to if you were to just do a rock bed. So you do have to incorporate plantings somewhere, but it doesn't prohibit anyone from doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if there's no more questions, then council, I'll look for action to open the public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing.
No, we need to open it on this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, hey, why don't we open it? Okay?
Okay.
Let's open the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's anyone in the audience that wish to speak on this particular topic, then you're more than welcome to. Once again, stand up to the mic and state your name and their city. Go ahead.
Mike Calendrianis, Layton. How are you going to address water quality in stormwater in the plan? Can you identify a little bit of what you're going to do? Most of you know that Case Creek is an impaired waterway, which a lot of the stormwater actually flows into Case Creek. So how are you going to do that?
No, it's a great question. So I'll just go back to the slide here. So one of the things that we identified in the water element and those considerations is that with the riparian corridors, recognizing that the land uses that are there, that we might need to have additional setbacks. There's actually quite a few neighborhoods within the city where the lots go right to the center line of the stream, for example. So then you get decks and homes that are getting up really close to that. And then you also have hard surfaces that are there. So then any materials. So if somebody's working on a boat or an RV or something and something spills and it might make its way there. So one of the things that was recommended by the resources that we looked at was having greater, having this, you can see actually, yeah, it's just in the image. You can see the stream and then it says a riparian zone on either side. So really making sure that whatever natural vegetation is there, that is preserved and we don't build into those areas. So then that natural vegetation can filter out, some of those things. And then with, parking lot areas, incorporating elements that we don't currently require in our code, such as bioswales, where the water has to go through the plants and the different materials that are placed there before it even makes it to the storm drain and then further down into the system. So those are some of the considerations that are included in there. Let's see, when it comes to the riparian corridors, additional setbacks and identifying specifically, the other thing was the types of uses that we would allow, next to some of these areas. Maybe, there's certain land uses that aren't, like a residential land use is going to be more appropriate than maybe an industrial land use. So then where those land uses are there, can we identify ways to better mitigate the impacts? Hopefully that addresses the... Okay. Yep. Happy to.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Okay, if there's no more comments, then I'll bring it back to the council to close the public hearing and take action on ordinance 25-24.
Madam Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 25-24 to addend the general plan to add the water use and preservation element.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Once again, this is public hearing, so we'll do a roll call vote. We'll start down here with Councilmember Bloxham.
I vote yes.
Okay. Did you?
Explain something? I'll just do it
Go
anyway.
ahead. You're fine.
I actually thought that the Planning Commission idea of not allowing those phrases in there to be treated as policy adopted by the council. So as long as I'm voting yes with the understanding that that was for informational purposes. Council member Smith Edmondson and I had this discussion in the work meeting. I appreciate all the work that's been done. Just want to make sure that those are not policy determinations that have been made by the council.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Morris.
I agree. Keep the general plan general. My vote's aye.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Smith Edmondson.
Aye.
And Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, there you have it. It's unanimous. Okay, that was the last item of business that we have on our agenda tonight. Does anybody have any unfinished business at this time? If not, I want to acknowledge, and I should have done this earlier, and I apologize, but Zach, thank you for sharing your birthday cookies with us. His birthday is next week, so with that, I also want to, yeah, you still have a ways to go. We all want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy the time with your families and friends this beginning of the holiday season. And don't forget Monday night for our lighting ceremony. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here.